Hiya. All right, let's do this.
2, 3, 4. Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
Okay, before I get cracking, let's quickly do this. I've got an idea that I want to test out on this one. And I'm not entirely sure if it's going to work, but I think it might be quite fun. I do want to give a few moments though for people to join. Maybe I should read. Let's see, I've got that one. Husband. Then I got dad. I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to start with a different one because it takes a little while for YouTube to let people know that I'm live. Just remove the judgment quick. Hey, Tish. Oh, that is one of my favorite things to do is repotting plants. And then also like taking all my 100 million cuttings and turning them into new plants. It feels like I've gone plant shopping and I just adore it. Okay, now I need to remember how to make this a second screen. Let's do this. Actually, do you know what? It might let me do it. I have a ton of houseplants, so I'm planting some cuttings now. I had at one stage. No, don't do that. At one stage we were in a 2-bedroom apartment and I calculated that I had 140 something houseplants. And some of them now live outside. I can't figure out this display thing. Let's see if I drag this across and I go, no. Nope. So I'm just going to have to put it on here like this. Make sure there's no feedback because then that's going to be like me twice. Thankfully, I don't care too much about hearing my own voice because I was in radio for so long. I don't like cringe or anything. It doesn't bother me. Okay, I'm going to do a semi-chilled one first. So that if people are joining slowly, they don't miss like the main funny ones. Scoot you over a little. Okay. And then let me just zoom in. Okay. Would I be the a-hole for not allowing my father-in-law to keep a toolbox in my house with a lock to specifically keep me from opening it? My wife's parents live far away but often come to visit. My father-in-law is not a handyman, but he likes to do small house projects for my wife when he visits. In the past, when he visits, do you want to say when he visits one more time? He has gotten frustrated by not being able to find my tools like screwdrivers and vice grips because they were not put back away properly after I used them. This is a very legitimate complaint, as I sometimes get very frustrated by myself as well. I have a bit of attentiveness ADHD. I'll come back to that. And I often lose tools immediately when I put them down after or even during a project. It's something I try to work on, but it's a constant struggle for me. A few weeks back, I noticed a new toolbox in our basement with a combination lock on it. At first, my wife told me it was hers, but I later learned that my father in law had gotten some secondhand tools and sent them to my house so he can work on my wife's projects. The lock is there specifically to prevent me from opening the toolbox and using the tools. My wife knows the code, or at least she did at one point. She says that she has forgotten it, and I believe her on that point. There was never any point where anyone explained to me that he was sending tools and or that he wanted them to be kept for his own use on projects. They just all decided to send this toolbox with a lock to keep me out. I should mention that my wife's parents really love their daughter more than anything in the world and are of the idea that she should make all the decisions and I should just do whatever she tells me. I don't really begrudge their view, but I think this provides some context here. My initial response was to joke about it, but I'm really not comfortable with this. I appreciate his concerns and I'm comfortable with saying that I simply won't use his tools, even if I can find my own. But having a lock there solely to keep me out of a toolbox in my own home feels very disrespectful. I've expressed these feels, but both my mother and father in law have told me to get over it, which I think is not an acceptable response. I'm trying to avoid a confrontation and or bad feelings or to blow this out of proportion. I don't want him to feel unwelcome or that his handiwork isn't appreciated, but I feel that this lock has to go. Either it needs to be removed or the whole toolbox has to be shipped back to my father-in-law's house. So would I be an a-hole to tell my father-in-law they can't keep in my house a toolbox that is locked to specifically keep me out? Edit. I just wanted to clarify or reiterate here, I have no desire or intention to use these tools. I'm certainly willing to commit to him that I won't use his tools. I tend to misplace my own things, but I can't make a promise and keep my word to respect his property. But I can make a promise, sorry, and keep my word to respect his property by not using the tools. So because I figured out how to do how to do a poll, I can do it now. Okay, why can't I start the poll? It fills out yes and no, but then when I click it, it doesn't actually like. Okay, there we go. So I'll give a little bit of time. In the meantime, I will tell you what my problem is. I currently do not like a little bit of attentiveness ADHD. When people say that, I'm like, are you ADHD diagnosed? Could you potentially be ADHD diagnosed? Or have you kind of decided based on what you've seen on social media that this frustrating aspect of you can be chalked up to ADHD? Like, not every forgetful person has ADHD, and not every ADHD person is forgetful. His in-laws shouldn't keep a locked anything at his house. I'm with you on that one. Like that, the lock feels a bit weird. But I wonder if something has happened before to initiate the lock. Like, have they visited the in-laws and things have gone missing that shouldn't have in their own house? Because people don't just put locks on things. That's not how it goes. Like, I don't think anyway. So my fringe is a little long again. I swear, like one thing I can never be ungrateful for is how fast my hair grows. But it means my fringe is constantly too long. And then it bothers me because it's in my face. Yeah, Okay. I'm going to end the poll. And the answer is, it just disappeared. 100% no. And on Reddit, the answer was no a-holes here. The most common comment was, if you follow through on the below, he has gotten frustrated by not being able to find my tools like screwdrivers and vice grips because they were not put back away properly after I used them. I have a bit of attentiveness ADHD and I often lose tools immediately when I put them down. This isn't your father-in-law insulting you. This is your father-in-law protecting his investment in his tools. You know that because you wrote that. Info. Are you willing and able to immediately reimburse him for any tools you lose or damage if that box was unlocked? Are you willing to say, no, thanks, you don't need to do projects around my house. I'll hire a contractor for all our needs from now on. Are either of those options cheaper or more reasonable than just letting him keep a toolbox at your house that you can't get into? My thing is that my gut says that there is a reason why father-in-law feels there needs to be a lock. That's my problem. I want to actually just quickly search. How do you search? I don't want to show my Reddit screen because Reddit just loves to log you in and accidentally dox you. But I wanted to see if anyone mentions the touch of, funnily enough, as a fellow ADHDer, I'd be halfway out the door. I wouldn't want to deal with the headache of asking to borrow something and would just get another one myself. ADHD specialist here, this is completely incorrect. Impulse control is a major part of the diagnostic criteria. I just want them to know, like, if they have a touch of ADHD. Like, I don't think that's a thing. And I'm not a specialist in ADHD diagnoses or anything like that, and I was diagnosed so late. I just realized I could see their comments. For what it's worth, I don't have issues with impulsiveness, only inattentiveness. I feel like he's treating me like a child. Well, I don't know how to tell you this, but you're married to his child. So someone says, are you playing the ADHD card? They're like, I'm not playing the ADHD card, but I don't see how me having trouble misplacing things justifies treating me like a child. I don't see how you having trouble misplacing things automatically gives you ADHD or a touch of ADHD. I don't think like you can have just a touch. And if you, well, maybe you can. I don't know. I got the full load. I got the load full enough that like I got full marks on the test. Okay. I really want to save my new idea for about 20 minutes in because that's the point where people join. So I'm going to skip to number 2. Am I the a-hole for calling my dad an aubergine? I censored this, so it rhymes with ick. For supporting my sister's business, but not mine. 5 years ago, my sister, 25 at the time, decided she wanted to open a preschool. My dad was completely on board, helped her pick out a piece of land, bought the land, got her set up with a modular building company, paid for the building, donated supplies, and paid for everything for the first year. Every year, his company donates thousands of dollars to her school. They provide backpacks, lunchboxes, and water bottles to each of her students every year. They donate food on special occasions. They fund graduation every year and they provide teacher gifts for Christmas and ED of the year, maybe end. She talked about wanting to expand, and his company donated a whole ass building and new playground. I, 27 female, want to open a salon. I asked my dad to help me open it like he did with my sister's school. He recommended I spend a few more years working, then he'll consider it. I reminded him that he helped my sister when she was 2 years younger than me, but he said it's different because she started babysitting at 11, working at a swim school at 13, and started working with preschoolers at summer camp by 15, and got a job as a preschool teacher fresh out of high school. He also said she has a good understanding of how the business would work and had great ideas for location and specialization to attract parents. I told him I do have good ideas, but he's just not willing to listen and spend half of what he did on my sister on my business. He said the only way he'll reconsider is if I get at least an associate's in business, get a job in my field, and keep it for 3+ years and save at least half of the startup costs. All of this has to happen within 4 years. We got into an argument and I called him a D for supporting my sister and spending tens or hundreds of thousands on her business, but either refusing or making me jump through hoops for me to get half of what she got. He says I'm being ungrateful and unrealistic and can't expect something just because my sister has it. Okay, I do have to say before I put the poll up that I am a little confused how this snuck into my ADHD stuff because I don't see anything about ADHD here. I mean, it's a fun story, but I'm just going to do it simply this time. Yes, no, both are. Oh, did I do it by accident? Oh, no, it's there. It's fine. Yeah, it's showing up. Okay. How do I hide it? How did it, and also how did it end up? Let me just quickly see. I just quickly want to skim the comments and see if there's anything about ADHD because I don't know how it landed up in my pile. Because I search for ADHD before I add it. So from my side, it's kind of strange that it sounds like they haven't worked in the field at all because they said that they would need to do it for 3 years. So are you not in the field? I can understand her wanting to be treated at least close to the same. I found out why it landed up here. It seems like they replied to a comment. Close that one. Open that one. I noticed that you have failed to volunteer any sort of CV that would establish your qualifications for running a business like this. And someone replied, the original poster mentioned in a vague comment here that prior salon bosses and her haven't gotten along due to them not accommodating her ADHD. As someone who has severe ADHD, I absolutely hate when people use it as an excuse for poor behavior or for problems that seem more like a personality entitlement thing. Crazy part is she's using ADHD as an excuse for not being able to hold down a job as an employee, while also saying in other comments that people with ADHD can run businesses, which they absolutely can, basically just using ADHD as an excuse when it's beneficial. I wish I could vote as well, because if I could, I would change my vote. I would change my vote. I missed the last one because I was talking to kids. That's okay. Basically, her dad supported her sister and gave her money and didn't support her. Also get her dad wanting to know this is what she wants. So she can't hold down a job and uses ADHD. I want to go find this person's comments. I've worked in salons for a couple of years. I have ADHD and bosses are not accommodating. Here's the longer comment. She says, I've worked in salons for a couple of years. I've never been a manager, but my sister also went straight from teaching to opening her own school. And then someone commented, so what, did you wash hair then wander off because, ADHD and then forget to put conditioner but blame it on managers for not being accommodating to you? The fact that you won't answer anyone's comments except I've worked in salons for a bit screams to your delusional, entitled attitude. Do better for yourself, original poster. Life isn't going to give you any handouts, so learn how to work for the life you want by starting to hold down a single job for the time your dad required. And then please update us all on how much we suck and how you're going to retire in 5 years because you're so successful. And us lot will be working past retirement age. I'm so glad I didn't share the screen because there are a lot of swears. And then the other comment was basically one sentence that said people with ADHD can run businesses. Okay, yes, we can. However, you can't commit to a job. I think you need to consider how much work a business is as an excuse instead of an explanation. So, let's even use this podcast as an example. I planned this podcast, I got the jingle done, I had artwork that I was ready to do. I was all in. I was literally all in. And then life lifed. And I had to pause it. And classic ADHD, forgot about it, lost the oomph, and started doing the next thing. Now that I'm doing it, it's a 1 week it's once a week podcast. I need to find the stories. I need to make the thumbnail. I need to schedule the stream. I need to do the stream. In a week where my distractions are bad or I'm more interested in something else, it's hard already. I cannot imagine she can't be managed. How she's going to manage people. Every comment that she replied to, she replied with a bad attitude. What is going to happen when you are the boss? You can't have a bad attitude then because people are going to leave. And a high employee turnaround costs money because you have to train new people. You have to find new people. You have to interview new people. Just because someone doesn't agree with you doesn't mean that you can just force quit the whole thing and it's done. It doesn't even sound like she's managed to hold down a job for a little bit of time. Prove him wrong. 100%. That is how I achieve a lot of things in life. If someone wants me to achieve something, tell me I can't do it. Ending the poll, both aren't a-holes was the answer. And I think a few of us would probably have changed it after hearing how she was. Okay, so let me, it's 24 minutes past. I wonder if I should give a few more minutes. I have an idea, a new idea, but I want to see properly, I want proper stats to see if it's going to work. Okay, let me tell you the new idea and we can see if it'll work out. So I love, if you're here for the ADHD stuff, but you don't know about the other stuff, I love watching court. I love true crime. It is my entire job. I considered being a lawyer. I didn't actually get in to like the law program, but that's okay. I only studied for a year anyway, and then it was too expensive. So I love true crime, I love law, and I love court. And so I thought that like a cool way to do this and to have people voting would be a mock trial. So here's how it would work. I got ChatGPT to help me with this because this is not something I would know where to start or end right now. But basically, what I did is I've got the prosecution. Yes, the poster is the a-hole. I've got their opening statement. Then I've got the defense's opening statement. And then we got to vote as a jury. And basically, we can come to a verdict like the jury rules X. I thought it could be pretty fun. And also because then it's presenting both sides. I don't have to always play devil's advocate because sometimes I just don't want to, or I am feeling rather opinionated or prickly that day. There's at least like another perspective that maybe I haven't thought of. Hey, Josh. So we're going to try this, okay? I'm going to put it on the screen. Just realized I didn't have the last one on the screen. Okay, so we're going to start off with, am I the a-hole for asking my husband to put his foot down when it comes to his daughter? This is the prosecution. The poster is the a-hole. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, today we examine whether the poster is at fault for demanding her husband put his foot down regarding his daughter's behavior. The poster has been a part of her stepdaughter's life for many years, aware of her behavioral issues, including ADHD, depression, and oppositional defiance. Despite these challenges, the poster insists on strict adherence to rules and consequences in her household, contrasting sharply with the lenient environment at the stepdaughter's mother's home. The poster's rigid approach fails to account for her stepdaughter's diagnosed conditions, contributing to a hostile and unsupportive atmosphere. Instead of offering understanding and tailored support, the poster dismisses the stepdaughter's struggles as mere defiance and laziness. This lack of empathy exacerbates the stepdaughter's issues, leading to further academic and personal failures. Moreover, the poster's insistence on cancelling the lease without considering her stepdaughter's mental health needs demonstrates a disregard for her well-being. The stepdaughter's reluctance to communicate may stem from fear of judgment and harsh consequences, rather than irresponsibility. In conclusion, the poster's actions and attitudes contribute significantly to the stepdaughter's difficulties, making her unsupportive and unsympathetic, thus at fault in this situation. I just realized that a crucial thing that ChatGPT left out was the facts of the case. So give me a sec, maybe it can give me the summary. No, because I did one after that. So let me read the original. Where did I put the other one? Give me one sec. I have to figure out how to find my saved posts, which is always tricky in Reddit. Saved. Okay, here's the original. I'll do this better for the next one. Good to know. The original is, am I the a-hole for asking my husband to put his foot down when it comes to his daughter? I've been married to my husband for many years, and I've been a part of my stepdaughter's life since we began dating. We had the usual every other week custody with her mother. Stepdaughter also has behavioral issues for several years now, and has done poorly in school since elementary school. Not completing homework or turning it in, not doing well in tests, and never seeking help from teachers. She's on medication for ADHD and depression, also diagnosed with oppositional defiance. She lies and sneaks around. At our house, we have rules and consequences that all the kids follow. We have a total of 6 kids, 4 of mine from a previous relationship, and the youngest is ours together. When the stepdaughter is at her mother's house, there seems to be no rules or consequences, and mother constantly belittling her, calls her names, screams and yells at her, and using her to get status. Stepdaughter barely passed through high school, and we were literally told 2 days before school ended that she was graduating. Now she has completed her first year of college unsuccessfully. She failed classes in both semesters and has continually lied about it. My husband has also footed the bill for housing and food. We had a conversation this spring with her, and she cried and cried how she wants to take some time off and look for a job, but was also told to check with the college if she could take summer classes or what she needed to do to retake these courses. Here we are, and from what we know, she probably hasn't done this and refuses to contact her father. When asked what she wants to do for a job, she didn't have any idea. Figured she could just work the bare minimum wage jobs where turnover happens all the time. No set plans, goals, or ideas for her future. Lease renewal is coming up, and I keep harping on husband to cancel the lease since she refuses to tell anyone her plans. Why have a name on something that could damage your name and finances? Husband got so mad when asked about it, but mad because daughter avoids any contact. At this point, the bridge is burnt between myself and stepdaughter. I'm not going to listen to a pity party. Time to grow up and make adult choices and decisions, which my husband does agree to this, and says whatever those choices and decisions are, she will have to live with them and deal with the consequences. Do you need a reminder of the prosecution side? Now that I did the other one? Because I feel like I forgot. Maybe I can summarize. So I'm going to skim it so that we don't have to go through the whole thing again. Yes, the poster, this is from the angle of, yes, the poster is the a-hole. Today we examine whether the poster is at fault, the stepdaughter's diagnoses. They want strict adherence to the rules and consequences for the household instead of it being lenient because of the mother. They're not being understanding. They're instead dismissing the stepdaughter's struggles and saying that it's defiance. They're saying that they're lazy, lack of empathy, making it worse. And the poster is saying that they should cancel the lease without the stepdaughter's mental health needs, so she doesn't really care. Here is in defense of the poster. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we gather today to consider whether the poster is at fault for asking her husband to put his foot down regarding his daughter's behavior. The poster has been a part of her stepdaughter's life for many years, during which the stepdaughter has faced significant challenges, including ADHD, depression, and oppositional defiance. Despite these difficulties, the poster has maintained a household with clear rules and consequences, aiming to provide structure and stability. The stepdaughter's behavior, including lying, sneaking around, and failing academically, has persisted despite being on medication and having access to support. The poster's frustrations are understandable as she watches her husband invest time and resources without seeing any positive changes. The stepdaughter's failure to communicate and lack of direction for her future further exacerbate the situation and is placing strain on the entire family. The poster's suggestion to cancel the lease is not a punishment, but a practical decision to prevent potential financial damage. She seeks accountability and responsibility from her stepdaughter, essential qualities for adulthood. The poster's actions reflect a desire to see her stepdaughter succeed and take control of her life, not an attempt to undermine her. In conclusion, the poster is not at fault, but instead trying to enforce necessary boundaries and encourage her stepdaughter to make mature decisions, which is essential for her growth and future success. Now I'm going to do the poll, and I'm going to make it, is the poster guilty of being an a-hole? Guilty, not guilty. Let's say hung. Okay. Now, what I was thinking is, instead of going for a straight normal answer, you can deliberate as a jury would. I have a song somewhere here. Let me just put this on. That's very bassy. Then turn off the loop. And then when the song ends, we can deliberate, but I think I chose the wrong one. Yeah, this is the one. I'm going to get bored before the song ends, I can promise you. I'm still debating where I stand. Okay, that's it. Time's up. Where do I cast my vote? I voted as my burner. So, okay, votes coming in. It's moving, it's moving. We're on 33% for all three. If you haven't voted yet, please vote. Renee says, not sure I would have financially supported someone who's clearly not someone's college who clearly is not ready. Sorry. Nearly a hiccup there, who's clearly not ready for it. Oh, this hair. I need to cut my fringe. Okay, I'm going to count down. 5, 4. If you haven't voted yet. 3. The irony of this poll is crazy. Okay, I'm going to click end. End poll. So the poll came back. 33% guilty, 33% not guilty, and 33% hung. So I guess we're all divided. I am not guilty. Setting consequences are warranted, but this feels like setting up for failure. I'm on not guilty for, like, whenever I look after my nephews or my niece, I say action meet consequence. Like, if you're running around in socks and I tell you you're going to slip, and I tell you if you slip, you're going to hurt yourself, and then you're going to be upset and sore, and they choose to continue running around in socks and they slip, I'm going to say action meet consequence. I told you this was going to happen. You continue to do it anyway. What did you expect? Action, consequence. And for me, the thing is that the stepdaughter definitely needs to learn that if you don't do the thing you have to do, there's going to be a consequence. She wants to work. What's also confusing me is she wants to work, and the dad is going to pay her lease for her to be at college? Because she has failed classes in both semesters, continually lied about it. My husband also footed the bill for housing and food. So she wants to look for a job and not be at college. But then dad is still going to pay. Honey, if you want to work like a grown-up, guess what grown-ups have to do? Grown-ups have to pay for housing. Where I think that the stepmom is wrong is the way she's handled it. This child is already being berated like crazy from her biological mom. The poster should have taken it from a place of kindness. Because now, also, you're dealing with someone with oppositional defiance. If you tell her, don't do this, she's going to do it. If you tell her, do this, she's not going to want to do it. I suspect I have pathological defiance disorder, which is more like, I think it's a more chilled version, but I don't like being parented, I guess. And I asked my mom, like, how she managed to get us to obey her or like listen to her. And she said basically like she learned to make it seem like it was our idea. And like she doesn't make me feel claustrophobic or like I can run things by her and she's not like the authority. But essentially, she just would make us think it's our own idea, and then it would be a great idea and we'd be invested in it, but it was actually not our idea. I think she could have said something like, okay, so we are happy to fund your housing and food. However, you are going to need to pay 25% of your salary into it when you've been employed. And so every 6 months, it's going to go up by 10%. And if you decide to go back to college or, once you reach X age, we're cutting it off because she is. How old is she? Did they even say? She just finished. She finished school. They didn't say how old she is. She's on medication. Stepdaughter, blah, 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 blah. Barely passed high school. She graduated. Now she's completed her first year of college. So she's probably about 19, right? Or 20. She's still a baby. I think that they could give her time. Is the alternative homelessness? This is what confuses me as well. I suspect that the alternative is living with her mom, her biological mom. Maybe someone asked that question. So the thread voted that this person was the a-hole. They didn't comment a single thing after they posted it. Nothing. There's not, like, literally, there's no comments from the poster. Phew, that doesn't look good. Or did it get locked? Like, why? Stepkid has learning disabilities and mental health problems. Stepmom disapproves of her because of, checks notes, common symptoms of these exact health problems. She barely passed high school. They sent her to college anyway, and she didn't magically get better. She breaks down crying after the year is over, wants to take some time off college to try working. Disapproving parents say, no, you have to go to summer school. Now disapproving parents are mad that being unreasonable hasn't produced the desired results, and she mysteriously doesn't want to talk to them about it. So okay. I think, here's what I think they're saying. I think she wants to work instead of college because she's struggling at college because of her ADHD, and she doesn't know what she wants to do. So to her, it makes more sense to work. And even if it's minimum wage jobs, to work there and figure her stuff out. In which case, they shouldn't be discouraging that. How many more years? Like, studying is not for everyone. And even the style of studying is not for everyone. Your brain only finishes developing at 25. You're literally choosing your entire career path before you have a rational brain to do that. Clearly, what she's studying is not her passion because, like, ADHD, she'd be rabbit holing and like hyper focusing. Otherwise, the reason she's not doing well is because she doesn't believe that she can, in which case, being like this with her is not going to help. I think I'm changing my vote again. This time I'm going to go with the parent is the a-hole. They're not giving her an environment conducive to having ADHD. And some people are saying that she and the husband should never have been agreeing to or sending her to the mother's house, knowing about the A to the use that is going on there. So already from there, I think this is an interesting one. Here's someone whose daughter has the same diagnoses. My daughter has ADHD, ODD, profound dyslexia, and dyscalculia, and is clinically depressed. She graduated high school by the skin of her teeth, literally failed 2 classes by 1 point each. The teachers gave her those points so she could graduate. She doesn't want to go to college. Why? She says there's no point in paying to be miserable. Her solution? Going to another part of the state to live with family and get a job. She has some ideas, but nothing definite. Are Abby and I thrilled? Not exactly. Do we support this decision? 100%. She wants to see if she can make it on her own and has a built-in safety net by living with family. Her aunt will take over administration of all medications. That was my biggest worry, and she made arrangements herself. I don't understand why parents push kids to the college route. It's not for everyone, and having unreasonable expectations only results in their kids not talking to them. It's time to let go of the daughter you wanted and embrace the one you have. Learn to work with her abilities, not against them. Well, if the whole you have potential thing doesn't seem like a thread here, then I don't know. Okay, we did the aubergine one. Okay, this has got to be one of my favorites that I skimmed. I haven't read the whole thing. Did I end that poll? Yes, I did. Also, is my mouse as clicky as it sounds to me, like with the mic? Because if so, I don't think it's great for an ADHD podcast. Am I the a-hole for using my ADHD as an excuse for messing up? I'm a 16-year-old male and I keep forgetting or doing things halfway, which was causing a lot of issues with my dad. It got to the point where he told me I was a disappointment to him. Oof. When school started, I reached out for help at school to talk about my problems and what to do to stop screwing up, especially when my dad asked me to do something. The school referred me to a doctor and I got diagnosed with ADHD earlier this week. They explained to me and my dad what it is, what it does to a person's life, and all that stuff. Now I have a therapist who's going to work with me and I will get some medication after an exam. I was grounded and not allowed to use the car for another 2 weeks. But today my stepmom said I could drive to school because after school I had to take her and my stepbrother to an appointment. I drove to school and when the class ended, I completely forgot about the appointment with my stepmom. I ended up talking with my friends for a long time and even gave some of them a ride home. When I got home, there was no one there, so I grabbed my phone to see if I had any messages, and I had a bunch of missed calls and texts. That's when I remembered the commitment with my stepmom. I called her, but she said she couldn't talk, but she asked if I was okay, and I said yes. Later, my dad, stepmom, and stepbrother came home. My dad and stepmom were furious with me for not keeping my promise. I apologized and told them I genuinely forgot. I know that committing to something and not showing up is pretty messed up. So while they were giving me a lecture, I mentioned that maybe my ADHD was why I forgot. That's what made my dad super angry, and that's why I'm posting here. He says it's me being the a-hole to use my ADHD to blame my mistakes, and I should take responsibility instead of blaming it on ADHD. and that knowing I have ADHD means I should be even more careful not to forget my commitments, and he won't accept this kind of excuse for future mistakes. I don't think it's being a jerk to use ADHD as an explanation. It's a fact that I have ADHD. So, am I the a-hole for using ADHD as an excuse? This is the perfect time to play this. Where are you?
2, 3, 4. Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
I love that so much. Okay. I am going with a big, fat, massive no. And if I remember correctly, the verdict on Reddit was different. I think it's no, because what stood out to me was, one, the dad, who is the adult, called the child, who is a teenager, a disappointment. Now, people will generally be what you expect them to be. If you're calling your child a disappointment and then they disappoint you, what did you expect to happen? That's kind of what your expectation was. And why are you disappointed if that's what you imagined? The other thing is, I think that it is super weird that a 16-year-old needs to drive stepmother and child to an appointment instead of stepmother dropping the kid at school and then fetching the child and taking both to the appointment. I don't know if the stepmom can't drive for some specific reason, but you're giving a child more responsibility than an adult, and then you're surprised when a child does not have adult actions. Why can't stepmom take herself? I'm glad I wasn't the only one who thought that. I was like, what is this? And unfortunately, it looks like the person may have deleted everything because there's no answers from them. I feel so sorry for them because they're newly diagnosed. They're learning about things that are like the most frustrating parts of them, most likely. But you also have to add in how, the only word I can think of is wavy ADHD and hormones can be. Like, your hormones can affect your ADHD symptoms. This is a teenager. This is a 16-year-old. Their hormones are changing. They won't have the same symptoms every day. They feel attacked. Exactly. And also, like, they've had an entire school day. I think that adults easily forget how overstimulating a school is. So you've got a child who's newly medicated, and the medication isn't like, it's weird at first. Like, if you're listening to this and you don't have ADHD, or you do, but you haven't taken the medication, it is weird at first. Like, I am a major multitasker, and I used to do it all very well. When I took meds for the first time, I forgot that Vaughn existed. He was talking to me. I didn't hear him at all. That was weird. I couldn't multitask anymore. A lot of my creativity goes completely out the window. So I can't do creative things during the workday. I accidentally, like the first few weeks when I was still getting used to it, I would be like, okay, I'm just going to play Candy Crush until it kicks in. And then I would look up and it would be like nearly 2 hours later. All of these things that you're adjusting to, you're also adjusting to being a teenager. At the same time, classrooms are incredibly noisy. You've got constant stimulation. Everything is loud. Lights are bright. Your brain is working super hard on what you're learning. There might be creative things during the day that you potentially used to enjoy that you suddenly don't enjoy. Now you're kind of like, can't really get into this. It's very frustrating. And they were doing teenage things of catching up with their friends after school. Hello, like they've had an entire day of their brains working extremely hard. I'm not surprised they forgot. You asked what made you you. Exactly. And also found a lot of stuff that was like, oh, I'm so glad that this is ADHD because it makes it that it's not me, Vicky, that is a failure. It's that my brain just works differently. Like these parents need to be treating this kid like his ADHD is his superpower instead of him as a disappointment and making him the adult in the house. And like he needs structure. Also, like them changing the plan. He's been doing the same thing. Now he has to deviate from that routine. Of course he's going to forget. They should have maybe said something to him like, he also forgot to check his phone. So the kid was pretty absorbed in whatever. Have you tried to get a teenager to look up from their phone? It's difficult. Whatever he was doing, he was engrossed in it. He was in hyperfocus. They needed to give some kind of reminder. I don't know. Teach him how to remember these things. I'd buy them a book or podcast to help them understand what it's like to be him. Yeah. Because also now, like, you've got a teenager seeking advice from adults on Reddit. That's not ideal. Not ideal at all. I enjoy certain parts of Reddit. The rest of it is like, there's not swear words to describe some parts of Reddit. And then also from what I saw in the comments, people were being really nasty. Like, this is a child. Is everyone forgetting that this is a child? Ugh. I want to grab some of the comments that were like kind of anti the child to see what they're not anti, but that said that he was. This is the most voted for one. You are the a-hole for that. As someone with ADHD, you have to figure out how to not blow off your commitments. The ADHD is an issue, yes, but the fact that you don't seem to be doing much to mitigate that issue is the real problem. ADHD should never be an excuse. It's a hurdle. It's on you to get over that hurdle. But they're so freshly diagnosed and they're working with a therapist. Like, if you haven't listened to Brené Brown before, she has some really good talks. I've kind of gone off. I don't really know what her deal is now. And if there's any drama, I don't know. I will look into it. But there was a book that my psychologist recommended to me in Brené Brown's early days. And she says, like, she showed up to therapy with a spreadsheet. Like, these are the things we need to work on. And I need to be fixed in 6 months. And her therapist was like, that's not how it works. The kid has only just started everything. Yes, they're going to therapy, but the therapist is probably starting off by unpacking what the diagnosis means for the child. You will get you'll get the lessons later. Like, just calm down. Why are they in such a rush for this teenager to be an adult? Yeah, someone here replied to that and said, maybe if he had time to learn about his ADHD. But considering he only just got diagnosed and he's a child, it's absurd to expect him to automatically snap into being a productive person of society. He's a little kid. He's been diagnosed for less than a month. Oops. I clicked on it and now it was a... Oh, no. I lost the whole thing. Uh-oh. Um, oh, I lost it a second time, like Vicky Mac. What is happening? It's because I'm so like, now. I also had a lot of caffeine. It's a bad idea. If my pupils are hella dilated, probably that too, because I took my Vyvanse this morning and then I had 2 caffeinated Cokes, and I generally try not to drink those because caffeine and Vyvanse is not a great idea. There we go. I found it again. They archived it. That's why it's hard for me to see the comments. ADHD may be the reason you forgot. It's not an excuse, just an explanation. Now you don't have any workarounds, skills to manage your ADHD. This is what you need to work on in therapy. Explain this to your father. By the way, there's often a genetic component to ADHD. Yup. Yep. It was kind of funny because I got diagnosed and then switched to, then I told my sister, or my brother had actually been diagnosed. And then I told my sister and she got diagnosed. And we're all like, Mom, care to take a test? Your third persons make me laugh my ass. Do you mean when I refer to myself as Vicky Mac? Like, a 98% of my day is me saying, focus, Vicky Mac. Someone here says, you're the a-hole. While ADHD can make things more difficult to remember and to keep focused, it is not an excuse for failing to. You need to step up about important things by writing them down or otherwise implement structure. What I would have done. Okay, here's what I would have done. If I was this child's parent, I would have told them, yes, you can. But I'm going to need you to tell your teacher the last period of the day, ask your teacher if they would mind reminding you that today you need to do this thing. Then I would also work with the teacher. Clearly, the teacher's open to working with the child because they are helping with the diagnosis. The child went to the teacher to say this is what's going on at home. The teacher's open to helping. Talk to the teacher. Tell the teacher you have, like, your child has the car back. They need to do this. It's out of their routine. Could the teacher help prompt them? Just double check, for now. And as things get figured out, they won't have to ask as much. I think that would have been fine. And I think most teachers would be like, yeah, absolutely. That's okay. It's not going to change much for the teacher to be like, hey, don't forget you have to fetch your stepmom. These parents are like just noping out on a 16-year-old. That one frustrated me. And I think it might be the last one for today because, oh no, I have a short one. Also, let me know if 1 hour, no, about an hour to 45, half an hour, somewhere in that range from now is a better time to start. Because I think that 6 p.m. my time is a little early for US time. But because I don't time zone so well, I struggle to remember what the best time is. I can also feel I'm talking from my throat, not my stomach, because my throat is getting kind of scratchy. I'm not sitting properly. That's probably also why. Okay, last one. Am I the a-hole for telling my friend that her ADHD is not an excuse to bully me and other people? I have a friend who will be referred to as Erica. Erica and I have been friends since 3rd grade. She has ADHD and thinks that it's an excuse to literally anything. I've been taking her ish for the past years, but I snapped at her recently. When we had art at school, she was making fun of how I look. I had tears in my eyes. She was also saying stuff to me and our friend group like, "You're so poor, my parents make so much money," even though she doesn't even know how rich our families are. I told her, "Your ADHD is not an excuse to offend people." She got really mad and told me that I was a pick-me. I am so out of touch with the youths. And that I'm always being mean to her. By the way, I always support her. She has been distant since then, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be friends with her anymore. Am I the a-hole? I don't even need a poll for this. No, you're not. You're not. That girl's going to have to learn pretty fast that that's not how you treat people. And besides that, I think that the pick me and whatever is like it's a roundabout way of being mean. You know, like she's still being mean. You're telling her that her being mean upsets you. So she responds by being mean. Oh, post has been put into moderation for something. This is quite an interesting reply. Not the a-hole. I'm autistic and I have friends with ADHD, and I'm also a special ed teacher who has ADHD students. And no disability or mental illness, neurodiverse condition is an excuse to bully people. Sometimes if you've got a disability or mental illness, it can be the reason you did something, but you still have to take responsibility for what you did because of it. And in this case, ADHD isn't even a reason. Being mean isn't an ADHD trait. It's a trait of being an ass. ADHD causes impulse control issues. It doesn't cause smugness or classism. Even if the ADHD is what made her say those things, she still thinks them. This has nothing to do with ADHD. ADHD is not an excuse to bully people. ADHD here, she needs to be shut down and hard. Like, there's no doubt on that one. I can't even remember why I saved that one. I think maybe some of the responses looked funny from a quick skim. I think that maybe, like, whatever's going on here, this friend clearly does not love herself. And so she needs to bring other people down to feel better. And I would actually tell this person to go to a teacher. Someone needs to see what's going on in that kid's home. They need to talk to the parents. Child is not happy. Taking it out on other kids, not okay. Not okay at all. Okay. I need to say goodbye, but I want to play this one more time.
2, 3, 4. Ever wonder if you're a rascal or if ADHD's to blame? You can't censor yourself like we've censored this song. Your focus in life is a crying shame. Am I a rascal or just ADHD? It's hard to know which one it could be. But don't you worry, 'cause we'll figure it out together on this podcast, no doubt.
I also have put this on. I put one episode on Spotify, but I can't figure out how to put it on Apple. So if anyone knows how to do that, let me know. It looks like the screen is not set for dark mode, but then when I turn off dark mode, I still can't figure it out. So if you're wondering why it's solely on YouTube and one episode on Spotify, it's that. It's hard work, and then I get bored and I do something else. And that I wouldn't be doing an ADHD podcast if that wasn't something that I could relate to. Anyway, I will see you guys in the week. I might do a live tomorrow. I'm going up a mountain, going for a hike. But I haven't decided yet because I need to be wary of safety. So maybe not. Otherwise, if you're just here for the podcast, I will see you next Sunday. And in terms of court streams, if you're here for that, it's a bit TBD on that one. Tucker might be in court tomorrow, and I am very keen to see what happens there. Thank you for hanging out. Let me know if you're rewatching what you think of the setup of a jury trial. I think it's a bit tricky and it gets a bit confusing and a bit long and redundant. Like, I need to figure out a better method for having the story and then the prosecutor's points and the defense's points and that. But if it sounds like a fun, what do you call it, mechanism? I can't remember. Let me know. Bye.